So atomic structure in periodic table exercise, 2 doubts, 1D and E. In question 1D, what is meant by relative atomic mass? This is a definition which you have to learn or memorize. What is the definition of a relative atomic mass? It is the average mass of the atom compared with carbon-12. Like when we compare the mass of a substance with carbon-12 or carbon atom, the average mass of atom which is compared with carbon-12, that is known as the relative atomic mass. So 1 mark is for mentioning average mass of an atom, and the 2nd mark is for mentioning carbon atom. This is a standard definition of relative atomic mass. And if the same question was there, what is relative molecular mass? So you'll mention average mass of the molecule which is compared with carbon-12. So only difference, if they change this atomic to molecular, then you will change here average mass of the molecule rather than atom. Then suggest why the relative atomic mass of a chlorine is not a whole number. Like why we write chlorine as 35.5, why not like 35? Even though we have the 2 isotopes of chlorine, one of the isotope is 35, another one is 37. So these are the 2 isotopes of chlorine, but when we take the average mass of these 2 isotopes, we don't get the whole number, we are getting a decimal. So why chlorine like mass is not a whole number? So the answer here we'll mention chlorine is having like more than 1 isotope. Like there is no only chlorine 35, there is another atom of chlorine which is 37. So whenever you have isotopes and these percentages are not even, like this chlorine 35 is 75%. If you have 100 atoms, 75 atoms are chlorine 35. And if you have 100 atoms, 25 atoms are chlorine 37. So why the mass, when you take an average mass of a chlorine, why you don't get the whole number? What is the reason for that? It shows that the chlorine must have more than 1 isotope, and its mass of these isotopes and with the different percentages. So answer, when you write here, you will mention chlorine is having more than 1 isotope, with different percentages. So the average is not a whole number. Is it clear? That why the average mass of the chlorine is not a whole number?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Page number 3, any doubt on page 3? Okay, page 4. Page number 4, any doubt on page 4? Page number 5. No. And the last one, page 6, which is having questions 7 and 8. No. Okay, so this was exercise. Yes.
Can you explain C in the last page? 7C.
7C. Okay. The table gives some information about 4 different particles A, B, C, and D. So element Z is in the same group as of a periodic table as A, but it is less reactive. First, identify which group element A belongs to. When you check the when you check the electronic configuration, there's 1 electron in the outermost shell. So it means it is group 1 element. And for group 1 element, what happened to reactivity? As we go down the group, they become more reactive because the size of an atom increase. it can easily lose electron. So reactivity increase as we go down the group. But this part about the reactivity you will learn in periodic table, like the specific topic of periodic table. So what happened? A is having 11 protons. So this gives an evidence that A is the sodium. Below sodium, we have potassium, and above sodium, we have lithium. So they mention like element A, which is a sodium, and there's another element Z, which belongs to a same group, but it is less reactive. So what should be element Z? Lithium or potassium? Because it is less reactive, so it should be lithium. If they say Z is more reactive than A, then it will be potassium. So here we'll write lithium. Clear about this?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So the idea is that for group 1, as we go down, the reactivity increases. So element Z is less reactive than A, so it should be above. Question 4. In this question, complete the table shows the electronic structure of atom and the ions. Look, about this one, fluorine, silicon, calcium, and nitrogen, as nothing is given here. So what you have to do, you have to check the periodic table, because the identity of the element is a proton number. So using the, even you can use a symbol to identify the proton number. Mass might be different because it might be an isotope. So mass of an atom might be different, but the proton number will be same. So here, when you check the periodic table, the first one, which is written here, is fluorine and electronic configuration. Why it's 2 and 7? Because when you check the periodic table, fluorine is 9. So fluorine atom is 9, having a 9 proton, or atom will have 9 electron. That's why the number of electron are 9 for 2, 7. The next element is silicon. So if nothing is written, first you have to check the periodic table. So when you check silicon, you will find this is silicon. So how many protons are there? 14 protons. But because it's as this silicon is, the silicon atom is there. So because it is a silicon atom, so it should have equal number of proton and electrons. So if there are 14 protons, then it should have 14 electrons as well. So here for silicon, if it is having 14 proton, it's an atom, so 14 proton, so it should be 14 electrons. So we have to arrange 14 electrons. So first shell 2, second shell 8, and the third shell 4. So 2, 8, 4. Next is calcium. So when you check the periodic table, you will find a calcium atom. So calcium atom is having, because atomic number is 20, so 20 protons are there. If it's an atom, then it should be 20 electrons as well. But now this is a calcium ion with a positive charge. So if calcium atom is having 20 protons, how many electrons should be there? It's a plus 2 charge, so it should be 18 electrons. Because it lost 2, that's why 18. So the electronic configuration will be 2. We have to arrange 18 electrons, so 2, 8, and 8. Then same thing for nitrogen. When you check the periodic table, nitrogen is having 7 proton, nitrogen atom. But this is not an atom, this is an ion. So nitrogen atom is having 7 proton. But this is a nitrogen 3 minus, or minus 3 means it has 3 extra electrons. So total number of electrons will be 10. So again, we have to arrange. So it will be 2, 8. So this was 2, 8, 8. This was 2, 8, and 4. So you have to get the proton number from the periodic table, and using the proton number and check the nature, whether it's an atom or an ion, you can identify the total number of electrons, and using the total number of electrons, you can write the electronic configuration. Then predict the formula of a compound which contains calcium and nitride. So calcium is +2, nitrogen is -3. So what we do is simplify the valency and cross multiply. So this 3 is multiplied with calcium and 2 is multiplied with nitrogen. So calcium nitride formula is Ca3N2. Why the proton number of calcium is not 22? Because the proton number does not change, as it's not for an atom, when it turned into an ion, there are only two possibilities. Either it will lose electron or it will gain electron. For an atom, never gain proton. Otherwise, the structure of the nucleus will change. Like then it will be a nuclear physics rather than chemistry. So in chemistry, when an atom changes to an ion, either it will lose electron or gain electron. So calcium, and if, like example, the proton number is the identity. If I say if calcium gain 2 electron, then it will be 22 proton. But 22 proton, it will not remain as calcium because 22 protons, the identity of the whole element will change. So it will turn into titanium. So proton number never changes for atoms. The only, because proton number is the identity of the element. The only thing what happen, it changes the number of electron either by loss or gain. Any other doubt from this exercise too? Atomic structure and the periodic table?
No.